Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my channel? Thank you so much. Oliver and I have been childhood friends for over a decade, and this year we suddenly got together. I asked him why he didn't pursue me in high school. He said, "Because I didn't want to date you without a future. I wanted to marry you." I felt so sweet inside and posted an announcement video online. But when I opened the comment section, I was dumbfounded. He didn't pursue you in high school because he was busy chasing someone else. He should be getting married, and after a round, he found you have the best conditions. Girl, you're just a backup. I jokingly showed the comments to Oliver, and his face turned ashen. That's when I noticed his phone screen was on a selfie of his first love, and he had liked it. On the 15th year of our childhood friendship, he confessed his feelings to me. We are both 27 now, at the age to talk about marriage. The mirror reflects how we have matured from the innocence of school uniforms into capable adults. 6 months after transitioning from friends to dating, Oliver took me home to meet his parents. Our families have been neighbors for years, evenly matched, running different businesses. This wasn't my first visit to his house, but I was still nervous, sweating in my palms. I asked, "Isn't this progress too fast?" With a smile at the corner of his mouth, Oliver took my hand and said, "Because you are the woman I want to marry." His affectionate gaze behind his gold-rimmed glasses made me dizzy. I had harbored a crush on Oliver for 15 years, a secret love that couldn't be revealed, just watching him drift between one woman after another, always without a place for me. Though I wasn't by his side, I was always behind him. Everyone said that the playboy Oliver was sincere with me this time, truly a reformed rake. In the old house, Oliver's parents were overjoyed, saying they had already considered me their future daughter-in-law and urged us to get married soon to make our families one. But even after almost a year of dating Oliver, I still hadn't received a proposal ring from him. After a night of intimacy, I pressed him with a question about why he didn't pursue me in high school when we clearly had the best relationship. He casually browsed company messages on his phone without looking up. "Because I didn't want to date you without a future. I wanted to marry you." He had answered like this before, but I was still as happy as a child being coaxed. Oliver and I didn't announce our relationship. He said he didn't like to draw attention, and I respected that. So to most people, he was still single. However, at my best friend's urging, I posted a video announcement on social media, expressing my possessiveness. It was a simple 10-second video. I talked about our childhood experiences, my unrequited love, and said Oliver just wanted to marry me and didn't want to date me, and that I was about to marry him. I ended with a small regret. If only he had pursued me in high school, I would have immediately said yes. In the photo, Oliver turned his face away from the camera. His slightly disheveled hair and high-nose bridge caught my attention while I smiled lovingly at him with my crescent-shaped eyes. I didn't expect that this video would reach 1 million views in just 2 days, with comments immediately saying he didn't pursue you in high school because he was busy chasing others. They said he should be getting married, and after a round, he found you have the best conditions. Girl, you're just your boyfriend's backup. I didn't take it to heart, and jokingly showed the comments to Oliver when he got home from work. Sitting on the sofa, he glanced at it and then slammed his project proposal shut, his face turning pale. He irritably tugged at his tie and said, "Don't listen to these people all day. Go get some spa beauty treatments." But I noticed that the phone screen he had opened was on a woman's selfie. The woman had a fair complexion, was lively and cute, smiling at the camera with small dimples on both sides of her mouth, and he had liked the photo. This was the first time I had seen Caroline in 10 years. She was Oliver's first love. They got together after he pursued her in his sophomore year, but due to their families' vast differences in wealth, they were forced to separate by his parents when it was time to graduate. I forced a smile and asked, "Do you still have contact with her?" Oliver quickly turned off the phone screen. "She's the new assistant. Don't overthink it." He took my slightly cold hand. I'm about to marry you, okay? Since Caroline arrived, Oliver gradually became indifferent to me. He didn't realize that even though he still gave me a farewell kiss before work, it was becoming more absent-minded. I didn't expect to run into Caroline under these circumstances. Oliver's stomach condition flared up that morning. He looked pale and was suffering severe stomach cramps, taking a single ibuprofen before heading to work. Since he graduated and joined his family company as a vice president, he had been working non-stop without regular meals, leading to his stomach problems. As usual, I made him yam porridge and brought it to his office. That's when I ran into Oliver and Caroline in the parking lot of the company. Maybe they were going out for a business meeting. They walked side by side down the elevator and right up to Oliver's car. He helped Caroline with her coat, chatting and laughing with bright smiles, showing no signs of his stomach pain. I had never seen Oliver be so attentive to a woman. Caroline was bright and beautiful, while I was quiet and reserved. She indeed seemed to be the type Oliver preferred. Seeing me, Oliver halted, looking embarrassed. "What are you doing out on such a cold day? It was 10 degrees in City A today." My porridge and side dishes were still warm in the thermos, but my heart felt colder than ice water. Caroline smiled and linked her arm with Oliver, greeting me. "Diana, long time no see. What are you doing here?" I coldly replied, "I'm Oliver's girlfriend. Didn't he tell you?" I looked at Oliver, who was avoiding my gaze. Caroline's expression stiffened. "For a moment, you're not married yet. Even if you were, you could still get a divorce." "What do you mean, Oliver?" interjected, stepping in front of her to explain. "She's just being blunt. That's not what she means." Oliver was concerned, even though I hadn't said anything. "Why don't you head back for now?" "We can talk later," he said, his tone cold and distant, his brow slightly furrowed. I felt like a clown standing there holding the thermos like a hot potato under Caroline's mocking gaze. I handed the thermos to Oliver and said softly, "This is the porridge I made for you. Remember to drink it." Oliver was taken aback, seeming not to expect that I would brave the weather to bring him food, but he still deflected. "Got it." With no reason to stay, I turned to leave. Through the car window, I saw Oliver smiling as he bent down to comfort Caroline, who was pouting and acting cute. They were a handsome couple, naturally creating a barrier that others couldn't penetrate. Looking back, it was clear that Oliver treated Caroline differently. Ever since his parents forcibly separated them 10 years ago, there had been many women around Oliver, and upon closer inspection, they all bore some resemblance to Caroline. Now that she had reappeared, it seemed Oliver's wish had come true. After returning home, Oliver acted as if nothing had happened and didn't mention it at all. When night fell, I took my pillow and blanket to the guest room to sleep. Only then did Oliver remember to explain, grabbing my sleeve. "There's nothing between Caroline and me. It's just a reunion after a long time." I numbly nodded, and he continued, "It's been 10 years. I have no feelings for her anymore. She's just an assistant I need to help with the business." Seeing that I was busy making the bed and ignoring his thoughts, Oliver became angry. "Think however you want. You're being unreasonable." He slammed the door loudly as he left. My phone kept buzzing with notifications. Caroline had just added me as a friend and was sending me photos. She had scraped her knee, and Oliver, dressed in a suit, was crouching down to apply some red ointment on it. In another photo, she was sitting in the passenger seat of Oliver's car, with Oliver focused on driving. There were pictures of him napping at his desk during a break after a meeting, looking peaceful and gentle. There were dozens of photos. It turned out she could do so much in just 2 short months. At the end, she took a selfie with the now empty blue thermos, squinting her eyes with a smile. Oliver said he wasn't hungry, so I got to eat it all. "It was really delicious, sister-in-law. Great skill." I looked at the thermos quietly sitting beside me and threw it into the trash. I continued to sleep in a separate room from Oliver. With the winter break in full swing, my piano students had all gone home for the new year, so I took this opportunity to decorate my practice room and avoided seeing Oliver as much as possible, which reduced the conflicts between us. After receiving the photos that day, I sent one back to Oliver asking, "Is this what you meant by her not knowing anything? I was just being a good boss." Oliver immediately called and sent me messages, but I didn't answer or look at them. Thus, our Cold War began. Since we confirmed our relationship, I had been going to Oliver's house for dinner every week, but due to our Cold War, I had made excuses not to go for 2 consecutive weeks. Noticing something was off, Oliver's mum called to check in and comfort me. "Diana, you're overthinking it. She's just Oliver's assistant. Those photos are easy to get. It's just helping to apply some ointment. Auntie, please talk to him for me." "If you don't like Caroline, I'll tell your uncle to have HR fire her." After saying a few words, Oliver's mom hung up. Looking at the time, it was 12 hours, and Oliver still hadn't returned. Since the Cold War began, he had been coming home late. I curled up in bed and fell asleep. I don't know how long I slept, but I was groggily awakened by small sounds. I got up, barefoot on the floor, and saw Oliver with his back to me on the balcony talking on the phone, a cigarette pinched between his fingers. He took a drag and said quietly, "Mum, I know Diana is the most suitable person for me to marry. There's nothing between Caroline and me. I know what I'm doing." Those words hit me like a bucket of cold water in the middle of winter, waking me up completely. Was I really just a good candidate for marriage in his eyes? As the realization set in, I took a step back and accidentally kicked a glass ornament on the floor, making a noise. Oliver suddenly turned his head. He saw our pet cat, Little Black, looking at him with its blue, glassy eyes. I hid in the corner of the hallway, quietly watching him. Oliver sighed in relief, crouching down to pet Little Black. "Did I wake you up, Little Black? Be good and go back to sleep." Little Black was a cat Oliver had gotten during his dry spell. Later, he got busy with work and asked me to help take care of it. When I asked why, he smiled and said that cats should be raised with girlfriends, and since he didn't have one yet, I could help him. Now, I had been raising Little Black for a full 5 years. At that moment, Oliver's phone rang. After patiently listening to the other end, his expression changed. Another nightmare. His voice was incredibly gentle. "Sweetheart, wait for me. I'll be right there." I knew immediately it was Caroline. I had never heard Oliver call me sweetheart. Once the door closed behind him, I lost all desire to sleep, sitting on the sofa in the dark living room, waiting for him to come back. The night felt too dark and long, and as I waited, I eventually fell asleep. I dreamt of being a teenager when the driver didn't show up to pick me up after school, and I was blocked and teased by some local thugs from my school in an alley. I was cornered in the alley, fear gripping my heart. The thugs extended their greasy hands toward me, and just as I was about to scream, a brick suddenly smashed into the head of the leader. I opened my eyes. I saw Oliver from my class 20 minutes later. The thugs fled. While Oliver had bruises all over his handsome face, he reached out his hand to me. The summer sun was just right as he extended his hand and flashed a bright smile. "Don't cry anymore, you coward. I'll walk you home." Once he was just my neighbor and classmate, but after this, Oliver became the Oliver in my diary. There was a wildness to Oliver, a youthful spirit that only became more prominent as he grew older. Apart from me, there were many girls who liked him, but he had fallen for Caroline. Caroline was in the same class as us in high school, coming from a poor family with 2 older sisters and a younger brother. Her mother was often sick, and her father was an ordinary worker. Out of pity, sympathy, or perhaps something more, Oliver showed her unique care. When she had nightmares, Oliver would wake up in the middle of the night to call and comfort her. When she couldn't afford to join a group study trip, Oliver would secretly slip money into her desk. They rode motorcycles to the mountain top to enjoy the breeze after school and planned to watch the sunrise at the beach on the first day of summer vacation. Oliver invited me to join them, but I didn't want to be the leftover light bulb, so I politely declined and never went. Later, when they broke up, Oliver's romantic history didn't stop. He frequently changed girlfriends every couple of months. After every breakup, Oliver would come looking for me. I was his first contact when he got drunk, always ready to help him pick up the pieces and make him hangover soup. His friends all called me sister-in-law, which left me at a loss while Oliver just sat there drinking, teasing me with a smile. Once, after a drinking session, I mustered the courage to ask Oliver, "What exactly do you think of me? Can't we just try?" Oliver shook his head and laughed, saying I wasn't his type, too well behaved. Caroline dared to drink, skip class, and even argued back at teachers. She was the one who made Oliver drive faster the first time she rode a motorcycle. I was timid, always a top student, and had always listened to my parents and teachers. Having a crush on Oliver was the bravest thing I had ever done in my life. He wasn't unaware of my feelings. My love for him was like a flame, one that couldn't be concealed, burning in front of him for over a decade. As we grew older, I became his top choice for marriage, someone he knew well, with a gentle personality, a solid family background, and a respectable job as a piano teacher. On the day Oliver confessed to me, I was completely stunned, as if hit by a meteor shower. Dizzy and bewildered, I thought Oliver had finally been melted by my feelings and had developed emotions for me, but unexpectedly, it turned out to be such a simple reason. I was suitable for marriage. The next day, I woke up feeling sore all over, realizing I had spent the night on the sofa. Looking at the clock on the wall, I saw that Oliver had not returned all night. I called him and it rang for almost a minute before someone picked up. Oliver's voice was hoarse, still drowsy from sleep. I hesitantly asked, "You didn't come home all night?" After a moment of silence, he replied, "There was an urgent matter at the company." I had to handle some documents, but I could clearly hear a woman's giggle in the background. I fought back the tears in my eyes and choked out the bitterness. "Oliver, you said you would propose to me this year. When are you going to give me the engagement ring? You can't go back on your word." He hesitated, avoiding the topic. "I couldn't find a satisfactory style. I'll get you one when I do." But months ago, I had clearly seen an engagement ring in his office. That day, I was so excited that I couldn't sleep all night, imagining Oliver kneeling in a sea of flowers to propose to me the next day. But nothing happened. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. It was as if my hopes had sunk into the sea, leaving me to doubt whether he had lost the ring. Now, he probably didn't want to give me the ring anymore. I hung up the phone feeling like a zombie. Suddenly, I really wanted to eat cake. In his senior year, Oliver used his first month's salary from his investment banking internship to buy me a strawberry cake. He didn't like desserts, but I loved them. He just sat there quietly watching me eat, a smile on his face as he ruffled my hair. "You're such a big kid, so happy over a cake. I'll buy you a strawberry cake every year on your birthday." I never lacked for these things, but since Oliver bought them for me, I treasured them. Yet, he had forgotten that today was my birthday. After getting the cake, I aimlessly wandered the streets. This winter was really too cold, cold enough to make my hands and feet numb. I found a corner to squat down, leaning against the wall as the world spun around me. Miss, 911, there's someone fainted over here." When I regained consciousness, a doctor stood at my bedside. "Miss Yen, your emotional ups and downs caused you to faint from heart palpitations. Have you experienced anything unusual lately?" I had always been a dull person, not realizing that my sorrow from Oliver's betrayal had first manifested in my body. I was overwhelmed with an unprecedented sadness, like a tsunami engulfing me. My boyfriend cheated on me. The doctor looked at me with sympathy. "It's not worth being sad over a scumbag. You need to maintain a calm mood. Emotional fluctuations are detrimental to your health. Thank you, doctor. It was kind strangers who brought me to the hospital. The doctor said to contact my first emergency contact, but no one answered. My first contact was Oliver. When we were in love, Oliver domineeringly added an A to his contact name, saying that no matter what happened, he would rush to my side at any time. You have to call me, okay? If you call someone else, I'll be very angry. That was less than a year ago, but now it felt like a different lifetime. My fingers trembled as I dialed his number, and a mechanical voice came through. Sorry, the user you were trying to reach is temporarily unavailable. Sorry, I hung up feeling suffocated. What a shame. I had planned to break up with Oliver. Breaking up on my birthday was just the worst. I moved out of Oliver's house. Little Black kept nuzzling my hand for affection, and after I had filled its food and water bowls, I dragged a suitcase away. I found that I had so few belongings that I couldn't even fill a suitcase. And most of the things in the house were gifts I bought for Oliver. As for the photos and albums capturing moments between Oliver and me, they were not as numerous as the ones Caroline sent me. She had more photos of Oliver. It was 2 days later when Oliver discovered that I was gone. He called and right away asked me, "What do you mean? Stop messing around." How ridiculous it was that he had been so immersed in someone else's tenderness and took so long to realize his girlfriend was gone. I told him, "There's nothing going on between Caroline and me. You moved out over this." I could almost picture his impatient expression, frowning even through the screen. I forced myself to stay calm and said, "Whatever you have with her is none of my business now. Let's break up." Oliver laughed out loud. "You're really immature." "I just forgot your birthday because I've been so busy. After all these years together, what's one birthday? We can celebrate next year." My heart ached to the point of trembling. I saw Caroline's post on social media yesterday. It was her birthday. Oliver gave her a diamond necklace, a designer bag, and 999 roses in a grid of photos. She shyly covered her mouth, holding flowers that nearly concealed her, leaning against Oliver, who was in the shot. The caption read, "Thanks to my dearest first love, my beloved." Amidst the flowers and the candlelight, he had given her everything that he, as a straightforward man, could think of. Even he, who usually didn't like to take photos, smiled widely at the camera. But when it came to me, there was just a light forgotten. It turns out that love and indifference really do make a huge difference. Oliver thought I was backing down and asked, "When are you moving back?" "I'm not going back." He believed I would soon seek reconciliation as I used to, and snorted dismissively, "You can throw your tantrum. Come back when you're done sulking." Then the call abruptly ended. I stared blankly at the call-ended screen. Only then did I realize that Oliver was like the strawberry cake I bought that day, smashed beyond recognition, no longer the one from back then. After I moved back home, I spent a stable month. My family asked about Oliver, and I brushed it off with the excuse of incompatibility. Meanwhile, life was leisurely, keeping an eye on the piano room. But one day, I suddenly received a call from Oliver. He had changed to a new number after I blocked him. "Do you know where my ruby red tie is? I can't find it." I coldly replied, "I don't know. You should ask your assistant. I'm no longer your girlfriend." "This is the first time I've heard you talk to me like—" He seemed to realize that I really wouldn't easily turn back, and he added, "You promised to marry me. You said you'd always be by my side." Yes, before we started dating, I had confessed to him that Oliver's family was far from peaceful. Beneath the glamorous exterior lay a cold father, a domineering mother, and even a secret love child. His father was raising outside every scar he revealed pained my heart, and I gently hugged him, sincerely saying, "It's okay, I will never leave you." Being with Oliver for so long occupied half my life. Even if he didn't love me passionately, I never thought of leaving him. But what you said that day to your mother, I heard it all. You only see me as the perfect wife suitable for marriage. Oliver was taken aback and explained, "I didn't mean it like that, I just—" Hearing Oliver, who was usually composed, flustered, I nearly laughed out loud. This was the truth, and he understood he couldn't argue his way out of it. I once loved Oliver deeply. Giving him up, letting go of over 10 years of feelings felt like carving out my flesh, immensely painful. But my character doesn't allow me to compromise and love a rotten man again. Oliver heard the sound of my renovation workers. He said, "You're at the piano room, right? I'll come find you." Oliver rushed over, disheveled from his hurried arrival, with his tie crooked. I was sitting on a chair in the unfinished piano room when he arrived. He saw me in a white dress, sitting on a long bench, holding a bouquet of bright white roses with water droplets on them. Meanwhile, the red roses in his hands had lost some petals due to his hasty preparation, making their reunion look shabby. For the first time, composed Oliver was flustered. He hesitantly asked, "Who gave you those?" I lowered my head, tending to the white roses. "He's coming to pick me up soon." Beep, beep. The car horn honked twice outside the glass door. A car had pulled up. I smiled and walked out. Oliver, who had been chasing after me, grabbed my arm. "Oliver, let's not keep entangling ourselves after breaking up." Henry stepped out of the car, warm and gentlemanly, helping me open the door. Upon seeing him, Oliver's expression grew even more complex, his eyes filled with shock. "It's you." Henry was our high school classmate who had pursued me for 3 months, but since I had feelings for Oliver, I rejected him. I had no intention of continuing to look at Oliver and directly got into the car. Oliver quickly followed, losing his composure and slamming the car door. "Diana, Diana, get out!" Henry ignored him, giving him the cold shoulder. The car drove off, and I saw Oliver's desolate figure in the rearview mirror. The bouquet of roses in his hand fell to the ground. The car was driving smoothly, and I forced a smile as I said, "Sorry for using you." "It's okay," Henry replied with a hint of a smile. "As long as you're willing, I don't mind at all." Henry invited me to visit his company, and I learned that the company he founded had moved to City A 2 years ago, located near Oliver's company. Henry invited me to a newly opened restaurant downstairs for dinner. Once seated, the waiter brought us 2 glasses of water and presented the menu for us to order. "I'll have—" I started to say, but before I could finish, a spoiled voice behind me chimed in. "Darling, what about you?" That male voice could only belong to Oliver. What a small world. I glanced at Henry, who gave me a reassuring look. Then he gently asked, "Diana, what would you like to eat?" Suddenly, the sound of a glass shattering came from behind, followed by Caroline's scream. "Diana, why are you having dinner with him?" Oliver strode over, looking at me and Henry with a piercing gaze. I lazily glanced up at him. He was breathing heavily and seemed genuinely furious. I asked in confusion, "What's wrong with me having dinner with Henry? I haven't agreed to break up with you yet." "You're cheating." I looked behind Oliver. Caroline was drenched from the water he had knocked over, looking quite messy. I asked, "What about her?" Oliver's expression darkened. "I still have work-related matters to discuss with her." Caroline looked extremely pale, but I chuckled lightly and grabbed Henry's arm. "Well, that's fine. You two don't need to disturb my dinner with my boyfriend." Late at night, I received a call from Oliver. He seemed drunk, slurring his words as he said, "Diana, come back. I like you. I'm not insincere. It's just that we've been together for so long that I feel a bit lost about the future. I don't know how it went wrong. If you come back to me, I'll treat you well." After 15 years of knowing each other, if I had heard these words before Oliver betrayed me, I would have been very happy. Before this, I had desperately hoped he would openly express his love for me, even just a little, which is why I humbly clung to him, repeatedly trying to confirm his feelings. "You won't take photos with me, but you can with Caroline. You won't announce our relationship, but you're willing to express your love for her publicly on her birthday. You won't answer my calls. But when Caroline has a nightmare in the middle of the night, You rushed to comfort her, calling her your darling. Do you know the call I made on my birthday was from the hospital after I fainted? At that time, you were busy preparing gifts for Caroline. I will never forget Oliver chasing after me, trying to explain that he and Caroline had nothing going on while the scent of her perfume lingered on his shirt. I will never forget fainting in the icy cold with a cake in my hands and waking up in the hospital to the pitying gazes of the nurses. I can't forget lying awake at night, flipping through the photos Caroline deliberately sent me, showcasing my boyfriend, my future husband, with a radiant smile. Oliver choked up. After a long pause, he finally said, "But you said that we had known each other for 15 years, and that we would continue together for another 50. Growing old together, never parting, and that you would never leave me." I smiled faintly and replied, "Sorry, please find someone else to be your wife. I don't want to waste my youth on you anymore." That evening my phone rang. I answered the unfamiliar call and discovered it was noisy on the other end, sounds from a bar. Dylan, one of Oliver's subordinates, informed me that Oliver had been drinking while discussing performance and had developed a gastric hemorrhage. An ambulance had already been called, and he insisted on calling his first contact, which was me. I replied indifferently, "For a gastric hemorrhage, you call 911. What do you need?" The call was taken over by someone else. Caroline's sharp voice pierced through. "You'd better come here right now, or if anything happens to Oliver, it'll be on your head. Aren't you his girlfriend? Just go be with him." Caroline strained to force out a sentence. "Oliver doesn't want me to come." I guess that even without me, Oliver wouldn't genuinely love her. Perhaps 10 years ago he could have, but not 10 years later. "What nonsense are you saying to Diana?" Oliver snatched the phone from her, shouting, "Diana, I can't live without you." I know I was wrong. I really regret it. By the end, his voice was clearly choked with emotion. I remained calm, as serene as still water. Caroline must have felt humiliated after she called Oliver a bastard. She stomped her high heels and ran away crying. I carefully explained to Dylan how to take care of Oliver, and then, disregarding his response, hung up the phone. I had thought Oliver would fade completely out of my life, but unexpectedly, he became even more persistent after this incident. My piano room was finally renovated, and Oliver knew my class schedule, so he came to find me. He was holding a bouquet of blooming roses, but he looked as thin as paper, much more haggard and frail. He stood there and pulled out a ring from his pocket. My heart skipped a beat as he opened it to reveal a sparkling pear-shaped diamond ring. Oliver slowly knelt down and looked up at me, saying, "Diana, will you marry me?" Looking at the ring in Oliver's hand, which had once been something I longed for, I felt surprisingly calm and softly said, "Oliver, do you know this isn't the first time I've seen this ring? The day I asked when you would propose to me was meant as a final attempt to hold on, but you said you hadn't bought one yet." I chuckled lightly. "Even if you give it to me now, I don't want it." Oliver's face turned increasingly pale. "I don't love you anymore. Henry and I are really together. He's a wonderful person who never hides his love for me. Even on his work account, he openly announced our relationship on social media. We traveled together and took countless photos. As for Oliver, he no longer came looking for me." Our call history had stopped 3 months ago. I heard news about him, like how he drowned his sorrows in alcohol, taking stomach medication while drinking, and had ended up in the hospital several times. His health was deteriorating. His parents called me asking me to get back together with him, but I politely declined. Later, Oliver was forcibly taken to work by his mother, and in the end, he deliberately messed up an important business deal. After his father became furious, he was fired from his position as the vice president of the company. Oliver's family still hadn't given up on finding him a wife, and at that moment, Caroline came forward claiming she was pregnant. Oliver presented evidence proving that Caroline had been involved with other people and that the child wasn't his at all. Caroline was kicked out of Oliver's family, leaving her in a very embarrassing situation. After a series of absurd events, his father decided to accept his illegitimate child into the family. However, Oliver seemed to not care anymore and left with nothing. At the age of 30, Henry proposed to me, and I accepted. We set the wedding date for a very auspicious day. I put on my bridal gown and was waiting to walk down the aisle when I received a call in a hoarse voice that was almost unrecognizable. Oliver said, "I'm begging you right now. Is there still a chance for you to come back?" I didn't answer. Silence was the best response. After stubbornly waiting for a minute, he forced a smile and said, "The ring I should have given you in time has finally been given to you by someone else." He seemed to have made a great decision and awkwardly said his final words. "I wish you both a long life together, united in heart and soul." After the call ended, I found my mood remarkably peaceful. The person I had once loved deeply and who had consumed my whole being could no longer stir any emotional response within me. That year, he had leaned down and whispered in my ear at the cinema, "Shall we try being together?" And now he was wishing me happiness and a long life with my husband. Henry, dressed in his groom's attire, kissed the back of my hand and softly said, "Let's go, my bride." Leaving that chapter behind, I was ready to begin my new life. Oliver's side story. When Caroline was kicked out of Oliver's family, she looked at me with hatred in her eyes. I scoffed and bent down to say to her, who was lying on the ground, "Even if you really are pregnant with my child, you still won't get into the Oliver family. They only want a daughter-in-law like Diana." Caroline's eyes were red with anger. "No matter how good she is, wasn't she betrayed by you? You and I are the same kind of person. Don't pretend to be deeply affectionate." Caroline was right. Neither of us was a good person. I had always been rebellious, going against whatever my parents wanted me to. They despised Caroline for being poor and considered her a burden, yet I chose to be with her, although my affection for her was only partial, until the day my mother, who had never raised a hand against me, slapped me, filled with disappointment. "If you continue like this, your dad's illegitimate child will come in and take over." That was when I learned that my dad wasn't as easygoing as he seemed. The illegitimate child was only 5 years younger than me. I was my dad's only legitimate heir on paper, but if I didn't step up, the family business would go to that illegitimate child. For the first time, my defiant head bowed down. "Fine, I'll break up with her." They said I wasn't allowed to act like I was dying for a woman. Everyone said I'd changed a lot after breaking up with Caroline, but I didn't love her that much. I drank again and again, not only drowning my sorrows over a breakup, but also my hatred for my family. During those times, Diana would always show up around me, busying herself with various tasks. I hadn't been very close to her before, but after I saved her once, she clung to me like a little shadow. That little girl, who wouldn't hide her affection, surrounded me with eyes filled with budding admiration. But after I looked at her for a moment, she would return to her calm and reserved self, dressed in a simple white dress, looking quite plain. I liked her shy demeanor. My friends, under my secret guidance, started calling her sister-in-law in unison. Her cheeks flushed red like clouds glowing in the sunset. After one night of drinking, she thought I was drunk and leaned in to ask me, "Everyone's calling me sister-in-law. I like you." Well, she really wasn't my type, but she was quite cute. The illegitimate child was so annoying, bringing me endless pain while I was trying to manage the company. I also yearned to express my desires with women. Behind me was still a shadow in her eyes. There was no one but me, but the dad who used to hold me and play horse with me belonged to someone else. There was another family outside. Would she really not leave me because I pushed myself too hard? I developed a stomach disease and collapsed at my desk in excruciating pain, feeling dizzy. It was Diana who busily took care of me, sitting seriously on a little stool, making kanji for me, her white dress trailing on the floor. A faint smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Being with her should be quite nice, right? As I got older, and observed various social interactions, flattery, and the attention from women, I became utterly fed up. Many friends either fawned over me or gradually lost contact, while only Diana remained by my side, thanks to her persistence. Having a meal with her on weekends was a rare comfort for me. Suddenly, I really wanted to do couple-like things with her. We went to the cinema together to watch a romantic movie. I tried to hold her hand, and she lowered her head as if touched by a switch, watching her ears turn red in the dark in the flickering light of the movie screen. In a secluded corner, I kissed her soft lips and saw her eyes widen as if fireworks were bursting within them. How silly Diana and I were together. If others were like alcohol, she was a pot of gentle warm water. I felt very comfortable beside her. I changed my name to the first entry in her phone book, took her fishing, and watched the aurora. At that time, I genuinely wanted to be with her. Later, my parents took the initiative to contact me, asking me to bring Diana home. I resisted vehemently. They wanted me to marry Diana. "You two should get married soon and add more people to our family." Diana lowered her head, her cheeks slightly flushed like a lily with its tips stained pink. In that moment, my heart sank. Was Diana the daughter-in-law they were most satisfied with? Diana did indeed meet their standards. She was a good match for our family and would be a great asset to the Ofer family after marriage. I thought about shouldering my responsibilities and spending my life with Diana. Did I truly love her that much? Could I really be a good husband and a good father? I started to have second thoughts, but I still listened to my parents and went to buy a ring. A 6-carat pear-shaped diamond, both in shape and size, was something Diana would like. I held it in my hand and looked at it again and again. Our marriage was set in stone. It just needed a diamond ring and a proposal for her to become my wife. But I just wanted to delay. At that moment, my first love appeared. Caroline, blooming like a peach, even more stunning than 10 years ago. She barged into my office clumsily, her poor acting hinting at her ulterior motives. It didn't matter. My heart was full of sorrow with no outlet. Diana would forgive me. She would never leave me. Lost in my cozy little world, Diana continued to care for me. Amidst my guilt, I felt emboldened by her affection. Diana's calls were silenced by Caroline, who wrapped her arms around my neck and pouted, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again next time." I couldn't bring myself to scold Caroline until Diana told me she had fainted and was hospitalized, and I had missed her call. I exploded in anger. Later, my stomach illness relapsed, and Caroline clumsily spilled my medication all over me. I suddenly remembered how Diana, who seemed gentle and soft, could handle everything well. I couldn't live without her. I recalled how she would always be by my side on my birthday, singing the birthday song that my parents had never sung for me. I suddenly missed her immensely. At that moment, I loved her more than ever before in the last 15 years. But it seemed Diana really wouldn't love me anymore. A new person appeared beside her, Henry, a high school classmate, who was charming and had an expression of admiration in his eyes that all men could understand. I had disliked him in college, urging Diana to stay away from him. Now I understood that feeling was jealousy. I burned with rage. How dare he covet my woman? It was the same 10 years ago as it was now. Diana had never left me, and this time would be no different. I called her back, but she seemed like a kite that had lost its string, unresponsive to me. She no longer responded to me. Every time I tried to win her back, it was like throwing a stone into the sea. I finally saw her inner resilience. She loved me passionately, but her departure was equally resolute. Then came her wedding to that man. That night, I go. I was incredibly drunk and had a dream. In the dream, I mustered the courage to go to the wedding venue. The pure and beautiful Diana had her hair up, her face radiating a happiness I had never seen before. I still wanted to give her the ring, but she smiled slightly and said, "This ring is for your future wife. I wish you both mutual affection and a long-lasting union. This wasn't right. This was completely wrong. How could Diana possibly not want me? Waking up, I couldn't hold back my tears, which streamed down my face. My room was empty. She had left. I had entrusted Little Black to a friend. I finally understood that spring had already arrived, but I was forever stuck in that winter. In that winter, I had lost my beloved forever.